A domain registration is a gift that keeps on giving for all the geeks in your life. Do your shopping at GoDaddy.com. Listen to this podcast for a special code that you can use to get great discounts at GoDaddy.com.
Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin.
Don't get mad. Get media. MADPOD.
This week, Shadow Steel interviews the Outfield. Where do they get their name, the Outfield?
I think we've been sort of labelled as being baseball fanatics when it's really not the case, because when we was called the Baseball Boys, the name the Baseball Boys came because John put it on the back of a demo tape that he'd seen a film, the Warriors. There's a street gang in the film The Warriors called Baseball Boys, and it's stuck ever since. And we've been to a few games, but we're not sports fanatics, but I hope that clears it up.
Formed in London and joining us live coast to coast from the UK, singer, songwriter, bassist, and founding member of the pop rock trio The Outfield, Tony Lewis joins us. Welcome, Tony. A pleasure speaking with you, my friend.
Welcome. Hello. How are you?
I'm well, and how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Yeah, it's just gone up here in the UK, and it's looking overcast.
Now, given your obsession with America's favorite pastime, the Outfield got its start in London's East End, playing under the name the Baseball Boys. I take it the group's interest in sports came second only after music?
Well, we've been answering this question for many, many years now. And
did you come up with the name, Tony?
No. It was a guy called Jamie Cohen who was a friend of our manager. And because we were a free piece and there's three guys in the outfield, he thought it would be a good idea to use that name, the Outfield. I mean, at that time we didn't really fully understand the rudiments of baseball, so we went with it. Thought it sounded quite a good name.
Tony, mentioning the movie The Warriors brought back some great memories of that incredibly intense Bronx, New York City street film.
Yeah, that's right. It was not that we love violent films, but it was a film at the time that we was sort of thought was quite good, and we, for want of a better name, we just put it down as the Baseball Boys,
Tony, how did you, guitarist, songwriter John Spinks, and drummer Alan Jackman get together in London and attract the attention of Columbia Records there in the UK?
Well, basically, me and John and Alan, we all basically came from the East End of London, and we were all using the same rehearsal studios. And the guy that used the rehearsal studios had a recording studio, and he let us have the facility to record demos. And this was back in 83, 84. And we got interest from an American management who was living here and working here in London. And he said, I think I can get you a deal in America, because he said that we sounded very American, which is, on the contrary, in the 60s, the British, the Americans were very influenced by the British. Anyway, so we got interest from there, and we first got interest from EMI, and this guy said, if you stick with us for 6 months, we'll get you a record deal in Columbia, and we couldn't believe it. It didn't happen overnight. We worked hard, solidly for 2 years, all through the UK, and we got our record deal on the strength of a demo tape and a photograph.
Now, in addition to the Outfield Live, Any Time Now is your latest project. Give us the details on the package, Tony. I'll tell you, the Outfield is certainly an assembly line of hits.
Yeah, I mean, when you say package, I mean, basically we just make music. Me and John, we're the sort of founder members. We just make music, and until this day we're still recording, and we speak most days. It's just we're doing like most bands do of our sort of situation. We're recording and releasing on independent labels, because at the time when Play Deep was big and Banging and we went to MCA, the industry had changed slightly, and we felt more creative and more in control of our music if we went independently. So this album, Any Time Now, it basically came through that as a project.
Now, an exclusive promo version is available only at Tower Records. What's the difference in the two separate releases, Tony?
Well, we released the album originally a couple of years ago, and Immortal Records had approached us and said, we'd like to put the album out again because we feel it's got a lot of good songs on there. And to give it a bit of a rejuvenation, we wanted to add a few more songs to it, like Wasted and Long Walk Back to Nowhere. And we thought these songs gave the album a bit more life.
Now, featuring tracks like Wasted, dealing with current social issues, and Long Walk Back from Nowhere, ringing with your signature vocal harmonies and chimey guitars, It's All About Love is a throwback to the summer of 2003. When it was an airplay favorite on adult contemporary radio here in the States, it was one of the most added songs on Top 40 as well. How long did the project take to complete?
Well, we've been recording off and on for a couple of years prior to the album coming out. We didn't feel pressured to condense the recording time down to, say, between 3 and 6 months. We just wanted to keep the album sort of pretty fresh and come up with one or two songs a week, and we'd work hard on it. So there wasn't no real time scale involved.
Tell us about 80s hits Stripped on Sidewinder Immortal Records, Tony, on which the rock classic Your Love acoustic appears, initially recorded in 1992 for a radio station's tribute to the late Freddie Mercury. Why so long for the track's release?
Well, we don't know why it took so long. It's just that we wanted to do a double A-side, an acoustic version of the song, and a lot of people have been doing like unplugged versions of their hits, and we thought maybe it wouldn't have come across as energetic as the studio version. So there's no real reason why there was a long layoff. It's just we just did it as a B-side, and we didn't realise it'd get so much attention.
Would you ever consider recording a tribute album, Tony?
Well, a tribute album, I would say that we've been a tribute to the Beatles ever since we started the Outfield. That's me and John, and we were lucky enough to grow up in the 60s and be influenced by the Stones and the Kinks and the Who. And I think that really reflected in our music. So I would say, we was a tribute band to the Beatles and all the big bands in the 60s.
On February 15th, 1986, the Columbia LP Play Deep yielded 3 Billboard Hot 100 singles, beginning with Your Love, reaching number 6, and spending an unbelievable 22 straight weeks on the pop charts. Tony, promotionally, was Columbia behind the band 100% from the start?
Yeah, I believe so. And also, we worked very, very hard. I mean, we toured in America prior to that in '85, and Say It Isn't So was the first single off Play Deep, and it did well for us in regions. And then Your Love was just put on the radio just to keep us current and in people's minds while we got off the road. And in January of that year, '86, Your Love was released, and it was a slow build, but it was a very, very big summer record for us, so there was no game plan involved.
And the follow-up single was All the Love in the World, issued June 7th, 1986, hitting number 19. Tony, honestly, were you expecting such an impressive run of material, especially on FM radio, from your debut release?
Well, we was quite overawed with the attention and the success it got, because quite honestly, as I said before, we were very influenced by the 60s, and that sort of music transcended, through that album. Obviously, working with Bill Whitman, we managed to sort of capture that summer sound. And we've never ever done an album where there's been fillers or just album tracks. We always try to aim to write singles and to make that sort of feel-good factor in our songs.
Don't get mad. Get media. MADPOD.
Live coast to coast from London with singer, songwriter, bassist, and founding member of the pop rock trio, the Outfield, Tony Lewis, joins us. Tony, Every Time You Cry was the third and final single stateside from Play Deep, reaching number 66 on the Billboard Hot 100 on September 20th, 1986. Tony, besides the Beatles, who were some of the group's other musical influences early on?
I would say there were bands like Mr. Mister, Bruce Springsteen, Journey, and we were lucky enough to tour with Journey. In '86, did a 20-date tour with them, and it's very much like the big American dream. We've always liked that, not that sort of classic rock sound with the big chiming guitars and big vocals. Anything that really, really sounded good to us, it sounded like summer music, was the music that we liked to record.
Now, the album Bangin', produced Since You've Been Gone from June 13th, 1987, charting at number 32 for 15 weeks that summer. Tony, was the Outfield trying to gear its music toward any particular radio format, as you're mainly billed an AOR group, but was so successful at Top 40, or didn't it really matter?
Well, we've been told that we've been too pop to be rock and too rock to be pop. So we've always been pretty much down the middle, and we don't aim to be any particular radio format. You know, our music is our music. We don't. There's no game plan to what it is. It's pretty much a no-brainer songs. We just like to think that we're a big loud version of the Beatles.
Now, the title track from the album Voices of Babylon came next, hitting FM radio March 25th, 1989, and peaking at number 25 on the top 40 charts. Tony, are there any other artists or groups you'd like to work with?
I think I've been in my favourite band for the last 20 years now. There's been sort of opportunities to work with other people. We've worked with Manfred Mann, and we've worked with a couple of other people that, in a low-key situation, which has been, a good experience, but I think I'm in the best band, in the world, so I'm not really any desire to work with anyone else.
Don't get mad. Get media.
Live coast to coast from London with singer, songwriter, bassist, and founding member of the pop rock trio The Outfield, Tony Lewis joins us. Tony, the follow-up single from Voices of Babylon was My Paradise, released July 22nd, 1989, reaching number 72 on the Billboard Hot 100. Your last album on Columbia. Tony, was the switch to MCA a good move at this point?
Well, I think a switch from one company to another company is always going to be open for speculation. We were happy with Columbia Records, but we were just making music and hoping that whoever was going to be behind the record was going to be behind the record for the right reasons and not just to program or format us in a different pigeonhole. We was going to be the Outfield no matter what label we were going to be on.
Now, the MCALP Diamond Days yielded For You one of the best 45 RPM singles on FM radio at the time, peaking at number 21 beginning November 3rd, 1990, complete with the Outfield's signature flawless craft of catchy hooks. Tony, on this album, did the group attempt to simmer down the pop enthusiasm a bit in order to please a somewhat older crowd?
I don't think we were trying to appeal to an older crowd. It's just that we had grown up at that point. And there's only so many boy, love, girl relationship songs you can write, and we wanted to show to people who ever want to buy our records that we had a serious side to our music. And if the people that were buying our records were growing up with us, if they liked it, then we were happy.
The sound of the Outfield in the studio is miraculous. How do you like performing live?
We love playing live. It's the best feeling ever. I can't explain. To explain to someone, when you're in front of like 40,000 people, like we were when we played in Trinidad, that was just an unbelievable experience. It can't be explained in words. You just have to get on that stage, and if you're not moved by it, you should not be there.
Your last MCA single was Closer to Me, taken from the album Rock Eye, issued May 16th, 1992, reaching number 43 pop. Now, 10 years after guitarist Alvin Lee shows up to provide the neo-metal solo in Jane on the release, an added plus to what is the most new wave cut on that disc, the kind of material that made the Outfield very, very hip. Was that your intention, Tony?
No, as I keep saying, there's no game plan to our music. We didn't set out to be hip or to be, trying to be like fashionable with other bands or this was the new sound. How it came about was that John's very, very influenced by Alvin Lee. Went to go and see him when he was a young kid, and he loved the way he played the guitar. And Alvin Lee was just basically a rhythm and blues guitarist who loved playing his guitar and just liked making music. And there was no game plan or a sort of an idea to try and sound hip. It was just the song that we felt on that day. We recorded it and sung it, and that's the beauty of the Outfield.
Your most inclusive website is theoutfield.com. Anything else for us, Tony, musical or otherwise?
Well, we're always going to keep making music, and sometimes we might go on a bit of a tangent, but we're never ever. We are very aware of bands around like Coldplay and Keane and all the new bands, upcoming bands that got something really good to say. We'll always be aware of them sort of sounds, but I'd like to think that we've got a sound of our own that's quite ageless, and we'll carry on recording forever.
Tony, in the studio, the Outfield had and has such an incredible state-of-the-art technical sound. Was that due to the engineering?
Yeah, I suppose we're sort of perfectionists in a way, and people might think that don't understand the Outfield that we might sound a bit slick, but we've always been influenced by bands like The Cars and as I said, there's Journey and Bowie and them bands that they craft their music, and we like to get our songs bang in tune and bang in time, and without sounding clinical, and to get the message across without shoving politics or any particular down thing in their minds.
You have been a pleasure, Tony. My thanks to Danny Roberts at the Outfield Management in Atlanta for his detail-oriented assistance in arranging this segment. Live coast to coast from London, singer, songwriter, bassist, and founding member of the pop rock trio The Outfield, Tony Lewis. Tony, many thanks for taking time out of your schedule to be with us and for helping us feature your many greatest and latest hits, my friend.
Thank you, Shadow, and thank you for your time.
You know, when I go to fill up my SUV or my sports car that I don't have anymore because my ex-wife has it, I usually like to go to Shell because, you know, they meet the highest automaker standards. Shell gasoline, they're made to move. Stop in at your local Shell station and get your Instant Win Scratch game card, Peace Inside. You know, you can scratch it off and you can win free Shell gasoline for life or hundreds of other great prizes. Shell, made to move. Also, if you want to get a good deal on a domain name, go over to GoDaddy.com. GoDaddy, I have about 20 domain names registered now, and you can get a discount by just putting in the MADPOD code MP1, MP2, or MP3. So go to GoDaddy.com.
Don't get mad. Get media.
Hey, and also,
MADPOD.
if you get a chance, go check out the new Acura RDX. I'm test driving it this weekend with the Test Drive Girl, testdrivegirl.com, plug. It's pretty cool, though, man. It has surround sound, rear camera, a spot for your laptop, and a bunch of other goodies. So I want you to check that out, acura.podshow.com. It's a Target Cast. All right, for now, I'm Jay Donnelly. Thank you, Shadow, and the Outfield. Check us out of our other celebrity interviews and other craps and kudos, dummycast.com, techie2.com, and for now, I'm Jay Donnelly, madpod.com. Don't get mad, get media. All right, Dempsey, time to get the moose.